Greetings. Hello. Ooh, that's way too big. Hey. It won't let me change the zoom. Fine. Be that way. I am here at the Rosemount. I have a pass today. I'm going to go check out this museum. I'm not sure what the tours are like or whether or not I can live stream, so I'm just going to do a walk around here to show you the outside of the museum. You can see it is on the National Historic Register. So consider this almost like a teaser. Once I know more about what's inside and what I can find out about it, then I'll share. But for right now, I'll just do a walk around. And there's the sign for the museum entrance. That's good to know. There we go. On West Greenwood. Okay. We'll get to it the long way so that we get the whole view here. This is near the hospital here in Pueblo, Colorado. I have been interested in studying the old buildings of Pueblo, Colorado. And one viewer, whom you may know as Lacey R., has been the recipient of some of those little pieces of information. And my project I've titled for myself is Keep Looking Up. So I start every video with a view of my feet, and then I look up, because we all have our hands buried in our phones and our faces buried in our phones, and we're never really looking up. And there's so much up there that is fascinating. Would you ever have noticed that if you had not looked up? Little snippets of culture and creativity that was left behind by our forefathers. Look at that roof, that ceiling. Oh, that's interesting. Just a little eyeball hanging out there. But one of the things that I've noticed is we used to build buildings, right? These were structures and contributions that our ancestors were making to their community. They made money in this community, and they spent money in this community, and they built this community, and their work is persisting to this day. And today, I find that our buildings are rather drab. Right? Let us compare right from where we stand here. Let's look at some more modern buildings, like that one across the street. It's functional. Somebody attempted to be artistic with how they changed the angle of the wall to change the height of the windows, and they've got the contrast of the red and the black. And it's interesting in its own right. But look at that. My goodness. What a piece of art. Somebody lived there. That was their home. They were proud of that. Nobody's proud of that. That's to make money. That is designed to mine resources out of the community, not to invest into the community. I'm overgeneralizing, I'm sure. Here's more structure on. Oh, you don't want to see that structure. We'll talk about mining value. There we go. Okay, note to self, dragging the screen instead of pinching the screen will give you that horrific view that you did not come here to see. But look at that building. It's a lot newer, it looks like, but it still has some class and some style. And look at those archways. And then we go across the street this way. Also part of the UC Health mechanism you can see by the sign. But look at how boring that building is. Right? That money is perhaps going into healthcare, which helps somebody live today. And that has its own value, I suppose. But this building is still alive 100 years later. And it's still serving the people that are alive now as much as it was then. Those big chimneys. Nobody looks up. That chimney used to be used. I'm sure it's not anymore. They had to heat these buildings. They didn't have forced air furnaces. Contrast that with the air conditioner in the window upstairs. Now, I'll be honest with you that I don't really know much about this. I was looking for cultural things to do. I get 1 2-hour pass per week to a place that they refer to as a no-phone location. And that that means a location where they can't call to check your whereabouts. And it's really difficult because the things that are culturally enlightening are just simply not available to us until we get to higher levels of the program. They won't even let us go to a library, which is sad because the librarian says that she'd be more than happy to have us there, and she doesn't consider her location to be a no-phone location. But they say, oh, we can't call the library and have them disrupt the other patrons. And the librarian says, au contraire, I would love to have you guys here. So I want to go study. That's interesting. It's a tiny little rose there. I want to go study some of the history of Pueblo, and I can't do that without going to the archives. But they won't let me go study at the library because they don't want me to do cultural things. They want me instead to go to restaurants and spend money. A restaurant I can go to all the time. But look at this big mica slab. Interesting. Covering some sort of utilitarian thing. Anyway, they don't find value in cultural things. You'll find that my opinion of the halfway house reduces on a nearly daily basis. There's just so much out here to discover and share and enjoy. This is what life is about. This is living. Sitting down at a restaurant with your family for 2 hours, that's not really living, and it's really expensive. But going to the museum, studying history, intellectual things, those are the things that they are afraid of. They don't want you to be smart. They don't want you to be acculturated. They can't. It's supposed to be individualized. It's not really very individualized. They'll, of course, declare themselves to be marvelous. They always do. They're doing it right now. But this is where I'd much rather. At the museum. Here's another one of those mica slabs. Oh no, that one's granite. Just a slab there in the middle. Maybe so that they can kneel down and do their gardening. They've kept this place up, and you can tell. Look at this. Walter G. Kamak, 1973. So, 50 years ago. Oh my God. 50 years ago? Ooh, looking at my face, yes, I believe that. 50 years ago even, they invested in making this place to continue to serve the community. In fact, let's see. We'll come back up to the corner. That one says 1978. The other one said 1973, unless I misread it. Oh, here we are. Okay, so here we are. This is the UC Health Campus. We're at 15th and Greenwood. 14th and Greenwood. This whole block is the Rosemount Museum, and this is a nice entrance. I came in from the other side. So here we go. Now that I look at that, it's a 3, not an 8. 1973, they redid this part of the entrance. just let you absorb that. I'm absorbing that. I'm a distracticon. I'm always distracted. I find every little thing fascinating. Interesting, there's a big bell there. Try to shield the camera from the light. Big bell. Schistler Concrete, 1989. So 15 years later. A rose. Reverse engraved into a polished stone there. Friends of Rosemount Sitting Garden. This garden is dedicated to Rosemount's volunteers, donors, and friends who are no longer with us. This garden was made possible through donations given in memory of Barbara Winters, a longtime museum employee. So Barbara, presumably then, is somebody who was investing in her community. All these construction projects and business projects that people do now are, everything changed in this country when we went to stocks. The investments became fiduciary responsibilities, which, if you don't know, mild flavor, just mild, but nice, pleasant nonetheless. When you have a fiduciary responsibility, you actually have a legal obligation to make a profit for your shareholders. And those shareholders aren't most likely here. Most likely those shareholders are in some other state, some other city at the least, and they don't really care about any of this. The moving finger writes, and having writ moves on, nor all your piety nor wit shall lure it back to cancel half a line, nor all your tears without a word of it. Maybe somebody can look that quote up. It is undoubtedly taken from someone. The hand is showing just before around 9:30. It is actually about 10:30. Somebody didn't equip this dial with daylight savings time. Is there a knob? I don't find a knob. I'm sorry, I can't fix it. Before we go in, before I stop this video, let us just take in a little bit more of the architecture, particularly the upper architecture. There's another chimney. We can see lightning rods, probably a good idea when you're on one of the highest points. Anyway, I've chosen to spend some of my time looking up, and here I'm going to juxtapose that and look down. Another little flower engraved into the surface of the stone. Yeah, so when there's a fiduciary responsibility, it's actually a legal obligation for the company to make a profit for these shareholders. And it's not about building the community that they're in. It becomes about mining the resources out of this community and taking them somewhere else. Whereas the builders of these structures that I'm wanting to study and hopefully bring to you in my Keep Looking Up project are people that were living here. And these were monuments to their success and monuments to the success of their community. You'll learn more about the history of Pueblo as I move the project forward, if I move the project forward. And thank you, Lacey R., for always being there for me. She got to have the original sneak peeks at some of the things that I was wanting to look at. But, once you have your resources leaving your community, it's no longer about the community. That's not what community looks like. This is what community looks like. Structures and history that endure. So I'm about to find out more about this structure, who made it, and why they were important to this community. And maybe that'll help us understand why they thought this community was worth investing in. Ta-ta for now.